Hello there. Today we'll be reading from a book titled Natural History in Stories for Little Children, published in 1854. And we're going to be reading a chapter in this book called The Martins. I dare say you all know that the swallows leave us in the winter and come back in the spring. The swallows that build their nests under the eaves are called house martins, and it is about a pair of these and I am going to tell you. It was the end of April when they arrived, and if they could have spoken, they must have had a great deal to tell about the warm countries where they spent the winter. But as it was, they twittered merrily together and played about, and rested themselves after their long journey. They were pretty little birds, with wings and backs of a very dark blue that was almost black. They were white underneath, and their legs were covered with soft, downy feathers quite down to the toes. Near the end of May, when the weather was fine and warm, they began to think of making a nest. So they chose a place under the eaves of a house and went to look for clay. The clay was to build the nest with, but as it would have been too soft by itself, they mixed it with little bits of broken straws, and that made it tough and strong. Then they carried the clay, a little at a time, in their beaks and plastered it against the wall, where the nest was to be. Every morning early they worked at the nest until they had made their sides half an inch higher. And then they knew it was time to stop, for if they built too much at a time, the soft clay did not hold, and they had to do their work over again. But whilst they flew about and fed and amused themselves, the clay sides of the nest had time to grow hard and dry. In 10 days they had built a strong, warm nest, with a little hole to go in it, near the top. But still it was not finished, for though they did not mind it being rough outside, they wanted to be smooth and soft inside, for the young ones to lie in. So they lined it with small straws and grasses and feathers, and when all was ready, the mother laid 5 white eggs in it. When the young ones were hatched, they were naked, helpless little things, and the 2 martins fed them by turns, and very careful to keep the little closed nest quite clean for them. From early morning until late in the evening they flew backwards and forwards to the young ones, feeding them with small gnats and flies. Sometimes they sat with them in the nest and sang to them in a gentle way that was very pleasant to listen to. When the young ones were older and their feathers they grew impatient to leave their nest, and they used to sit all the day with their heads out of the hole, looking about them. When the mother came with the food, she clung to the outside of the nest and fed them there. At last it was time for the nestlings to fly. What little young creatures they were to fly down from such a height! But they managed it very well, and the parents were there to look after them, and even to feed them as they flew about in the summer air. One day a hawk came near while the young martins were flying, and would have been glad to catch one of them, but an old swallow that lived in the chimney cried out to let them know that there was a danger near. Then all the martins and swallows that had nests there joined to chase the hawk away with loud screams. They buffeted him with their wings too, so that he was glad to get off. By the end of August, the young martins were old enough to take care of themselves. So they left their parents and went to live with a large flock of other young ones. With them they practiced flying all the rest of the summer, so when the cold weather came they were able to go with the rest over sea and land to the warm countries. And that is the end of the story for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe to this channel if you want to come back and hear more interesting stories from the past. Thank you and have a good day.